Hello, YouTube. So I was actually looking at some of my recent games, and I came across something really kind of strange. I mean, as you can see, I've been playing pretty well lately. I'm on a bit of a streak. I haven't lost all that many games in my last however many games. I've only lost a handful of them, so I've been playing pretty well. But one of my complaints has always been, the chess.com team always informs me when, somebody cheated against me and they refund me the points. But they never inform me like if I beat a cheater. So I have no idea if I've ever beaten a cheater before. But when I was scrolling through my recent games, I ran across that this account had been closed for fair play. And apparently I won the game, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. I got to look at this game and I got to see what happened. So if we take a look at this game, it's kind of interesting because, like, if I go into the game report and we look at this game report, for starters, we can see that my accuracy on the game report is a little bit higher than my opponent's, which is kind of amazing. So I actually had a higher accuracy, apparently, than Stockfish, which is cool. So the only thing I can figure out is the way I beat this guy is because the way a lot of people cheat is they'll have, like, a second computer running that'll have the position on it. And then they'll have to make the moves on their main computer, and then they'll have to put it into their other computer, and then they're copying moves from that computer to their computer. So they're, like, basically transcribing the moves. And the only thing I can figure is I managed to keep the position equal long enough that as, he started getting lower and lower on time, he was transcribing faster and faster, and it just became more and more likely that he was going to make a transcription error. And I think that's what happened, where he was looking at the move over here and he made a mistake, and you'll see kind of exactly where he made the mistake. And I got really lucky that I didn't, give him the rematch he wanted too. So, like, my record against this guy is 1-0. So that's pretty cool. But so you can see that, like, what I really managed to do was I managed to keep the position about level for about 26 moves until I finally made a mistake. So basically, the game started out as like a bird's opening, and then it turned into something like that's just very similar to a Sicilian defense, where I basically got like this open C file or whatever, and I just developed my pieces pretty normally. And you can see the computer assessment here. It's basically saying nothing. It's giving the position is about level, and I managed to keep the position about level. I didn't hang anything. I didn't drop anything. I just kept the position nice and level. And even when I sacrificed the material, like even when I sacrificed the exchange, which I would have done against any human being as well, just because it's a good move, I sack the exchange and then I take on d5, the computer doesn't hate that either. Actually, it gives it as the best move, so it thinks my exchange sacrifice was just kind of perfectly sound, and so that's keeping the position level for longer, which is helping me in my cause, apparently, of just making my opponent, eat up more and more time, and making it more and more likely that he'll make some error in copying the moves over from whatever machine he's using to cheat. So, but I of course didn't know this. I thought I was playing against a human being. And I think that's one of the biggest unfair things about playing against cheaters is you don't know what they're doing. So, if you knew what they were doing, you might play a little bit differently. But I guess I was kind of fortunate in this game. I managed to keep it together long enough. But everything's fine so far. So this is where I make my first big mistakes. Is like move 26. He's threatening to take this pawn, and I'm keeping everything about equal if I play queen d5, and then that position is still supposed to be like about level. Unfortunately, I played the bad move here. I played knight f6, and my opponent, obviously because he's using a computer, not skipping a beat, just immediately plays the best move. He takes the extra pawn, and but the upside is he's starting to get lower and lower on the clock. He's only got 1 minute and 16 seconds left, so apparently this isn't perfect. And the way I beat him was kind of weird. So I just played like a good solid move, which was fine. And then I really wanted to get my knight to e4, but what I did was I played d5 to support it. And it turns out that this was like one of the smartest things I could have done was to do it in this particular order, because I think this is what happened. As you can see, the computer is giving a4 as the best move. So I think he mouse slipped, or he looked at the move on the screen wrong, and he didn't play the move a4, he played the move a3. So this should be like almost another indicator that my opponent might be cheating. Is I understand like if it's a mouse slip, like a lot of people like they want to move their pawn 1, but I mean they want to move their pawn 2, but they mouse slip at 1. I think this was different. Like, I don't think it was necessarily a mouse slip. I think it was he looked at the screen and the screen said, he thought the screen said A3 when it actually said A4. You know? So he just copied, you know, what the screen said. But of course, any human being that's playing this position is, of course, going to try to push their pawn as far as possible, because you're trying to just shove that pawn down the board as quickly as you can. And I think he recognized that he made the mistake and didn't play A4. And then when I played knight e4, he tried to correct the mistake of not playing a3 to a4 without looking at my move. So he just figured, well, a4 was good last move, it must be good this move. And, of course, that falls for knight g3. And while I'm not necessarily capable of beating Stockfish under normal conditions, if you give me an extra queen, I am capable of beating Stockfish. And actually, he basically tried to commit suicide here. He walked his king back, and I could have just checkmated him on the spot. So I missed my checkmate on the spot, but I'm more than capable of just grabbing the material, and having an entire extra queen, even against a computer, is more than enough to win. Of course, I don't know why he brought his king back to g1 either. I don't know why he tried to commit suicide that way. It might have been at that point that the computer didn't recognize maybe any difference between the moves at this point, that just the position is that bad, because, you know, it's saying, you know, king f2, but of course all of these moves are losing. So it might just be that he made that move on his own, because it just, the assessment was so low it didn't matter. But I just went over here and grabbed the pawn. I grabbed the pawns, plural. And when I played check, which wasn't the best move, but I'm planning on just playing check and taking this rook, he finally decided to resign. And then, of course, he immediately wanted to rematch me, but I moved on and I played against somebody else. So my record against this particular opponent, whose account was closed for fair play, who is likely using an engine, is 1-0. So, like, if I click on this guy and I click on his, you know, account, we've played one game and I have one win, and that's it. That's the only game we've ever played, and that's the only game we ever will play. So yeah. So, you know, you can just see, like, this guy is, like, right in here, like, this just absolute, like, just string of wins. You know, but I wasn't the only guy that beat him, apparently. So a couple of people got lucky against him. I don't know how that worked, but a couple people did. Okay, well, anyways, so it is possible, you know, it is possible to beat guys when they are cheating. It's possible to beat them, especially if they're cheating kind of badly, like if they're looking at a computer and then making the moves over here. You know, you just have to try to keep the position, you know, level long enough and get them low on the clock, and then wait for the blunder. You know, hopefully when they start making moves on their own, or when they're having a hard time looking over at one machine and looking back at their machine. So it's not impossible to beat a cheater. It's just, it's really difficult. I really wish people wouldn't do it. And of course it depends how they're cheating too. You know, sometimes they just use a bot, you know, in which case if you're just playing against the computer directly, I think that's going to be nearly impossible, you know, if the computer itself is the one making the moves. If it's not a human being looking at it and making the moves, you can't win based off of their errors. Well, anyways, I beat a cheater, so it's possible to do it. Anyways, I hope you learned something you know, new about chess, or at least learned something new about chess on the internet. I hope you found this video helpful. And if you like this video and you like this kind of content, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching.